everybody. Welcome to the Soulful Eclectic. I'm your host, Diana Collins, and I have my co-host, who is Ona Mills, with me as well. And we're doing an outside interview today, so if you guys get any background noise, I do apologize, but it's such a nice day. Why not be outside, enjoy God's creation, right? And listen to the birds and things of that such. So just wanted to give you that forewarning before we start in case you hear any weird sounds. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining us. I have my lovely, lovely young lady that's here with us in, I don't want to say to tell her story, right? To tell her story of domestic violence that she witnessed and has been living with and is growing and journeying and becoming this whole strong woman behind it. And as I always say, with everything that we do, the journey never ends in one spot. We keep building on it and building on it, and there's layers, like there's layers to us as human beings. But Tia Smith, how are you?
I'm great.
Awesome.
And thank you for having me as well.
You're welcome.
I appreciate this.
You're welcome. Guys, she is gorgeous. Wait till you see her picture. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, honestly, just tell me a little bit about you.
Yes, ma'am. So basically, my name is Tia Smith. I'm 39 years old. I have 3 children, 1 biological and 2 stepchildren.
Mm-hmm.
I was originally working for Bank of America for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was laid off. And then now I'm at a stay-at-home mom.
Oh.
And that's pretty much all about me, really. Nothing exciting.
Everything about us is exciting.
Right.
We're women, we're black women, and you know what? We're exciting people. Right? we make excitement everywhere we go.
True.
Right?
That's true. That's true.
So are you married?
I'm not married.
Okay.
No, not yet.
No.
At least.
That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. So what is it that makes you you?
I would just say, that's a tough question. What makes me me? Just
Mm-hmm.
my personality. I'm very outgoing.
Okay.
I am very loving. I love people. I love to love.
Okay.
And just my overall being, who I am, makes me me. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just living in my life and being an overcomer and having strength. And these are things that I haven't always had. So I'm proud to say that, I love myself.
Oh, nice.
And I care about how I feel.
Okay.
And I understand that things that happen in my life is not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make me who I am.
Hmm.
So just learning to love myself and creating an atmosphere for other people to also feel that vibe as well.
Okay. So, overcoming. What have you had to overcome? What started that needing to overcome? Because, we always have something that jumpstarts it.
It started with my mother.
Okay.
I grew up in, I can say I grew up in Oakland, California until I was about 8 years old, because that's when my mother was murdered when I was 8 years old. So what started my overcome is actually just her being murdered, I guess.
Okay.
For a long time, I felt like that was my fault, or I could have helped, or I just felt like I could have done something.
Okay.
And that weighed on me pretty much my whole life. But as I get older and I understand life a little bit better, and I understand that certain things are out of your control, that helps me to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me to want to be stronger. That helps me to just want to live different.
Okay. So take me to that place that started it all. You said your mom was murdered.
Yes. So, like I said, I was 8 years old. Me and my mother and my little brother, who was 2 at the time, we lived downtown Oakland. We lived in a hotel. And one morning, actually, it was night, actually, I woke up and I seen that the room was just tore up like someone had been fighting.
Mm-hmm.
The door was open, and I can vaguely remember commercials on, it was the old commercial, the Jean commercial, "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman."
Ah, yes.
I forget, and I know it was Aretha Franklin singing it at the
Yes,
time.
yes.
And so this is just me waking up. I see cocaine on the bed. The door is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And I can vaguely hear my mom say, "Stop, Gary. Stop, Gary. That's enough. Stop, Gary." So I get up and I go outside in the hall because it's a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to see what my mom was screaming about. And I see her and her boyfriend fighting. And it was basically a physical fight. And all I can remember is it was some broken glass.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked up the piece of a glass, like big enough to stab her with. And he stabbed her all over her body, her head, her heart, her stomach. She was pregnant. And he killed the baby as well.
Mm.
And at the time, I thought it was not real.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was a dream.
Mm.
And I can see my mom getting weaker and weaker. And finally, something came over me, and I just started screaming. And then he looked up at me as if I had just like took him out of this trance he was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, I'm next. He's going to kill me next. Not knowing if my mother was going to live or not. But as an 8-year-old child, I just was so confused, like what is happening? Like what is going on? And I could hear my mom saying, "Tia, go in the room." Like
Mm-hmm.
she's out of breath. "Tia, go back in the room. I don't want you to see this. Tia, go back in the room." So I just was screaming and screaming, and people started coming out of the hotel, but they didn't want to get involved. And you can see them just open the door and close it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, my mom had enough energy to walk towards me, and she told me that she loved me and that to take care of my brother. So she knew that she was going to die. And she came back in the room. Her head she started spinning, and then she fell down, hit her head on the dresser, if I can remember, and she went into a seizure or something, and foam started pumping out of her mouth. And all I know is everything was happening like in the blink of an eye. Like I would blink and then the ambulance would be there. I would blink and then I would be at the police station. I would blink and then I'm back at home.
Mm-hmm.
So everything happened so fast that it took a while for me to understand what was going on. But so after all that happened, I had to go to the police station. They had to record me because I was a minor.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to use this for when, court or whatever. And they asked me what happened. I explained to them what happened, that all I saw was they were fighting, and then he picked up the glass and started stabbing her all over her body. And that he never said one word. He just dropped it and ran. I could describe what he had on. I could remember what he looked like. I remember his first and last name because my mom was really big on knowing people's first and last name in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to the police station. I told my story. And at this time, my mom was still alive. And they say she stayed alive because she was on drugs. And it was keeping her alive until the next day. My aunt told me that my mom didn't make it. And that the baby was stabbed in the head.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
because I lost my best friend. I love my mom so much, and I still sometimes want to believe it's a dream because I never thought I could ever witness someone be murdered in that way. And my mom. So the next day they told me she had passed, and then I was supposed to go to a foster. Remember, they were going to put us in a foster home, but my grandmother ended up getting custody of us temporarily. And then my dad, he lived here when he found out my mother was murdered. My daddy was on drugs at that time, actually. And my grandmother actually got him out of the crack house, dressed him up, and they came to to Oakland to get me. And that's how I ended up here in Arizona. Then when I got here, my dad was on drugs, so I really didn't see him much. So I was kind of living in between my grandmother and my aunt. And then I began my journey in Arizona. And I had a lot of difficult times too. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I just felt lost. I had never, at least I don't remember, seen my dad or my grandmother or my aunt. So I felt like I was like kind of thrown to strangers. And I was leaving like a vulnerable place to go with them. And I had to get to know them. And I just felt like it didn't get better.
You felt like you went from one fire to another fire.
Yes.
Right? Seeing that, being that, growing up, not knowing your place, right? How did that affect you mentally? Right? I see it still affects you.
It does.
It's affecting us.
It's kind of hard because I was so young when it happened. So I've kind of like lived life just being busy.
Being busy.
Just making sure I'm always doing something so that I can't think about that anymore. I don't want to dream about that anymore. I want to be able to go to sleep. I want to sleep with my eyes closed, not open. You know, it took a long time to be able to close my eyes without seeing that.
And where are you now?
I would say I'm in a very good place because even though I cry and I get emotional over telling the story, it is my therapy because I never took therapy for it. Kind of just got through this on my own and with the help of my family. So I feel like I'm living how I should be. I feel like that my life is the way it should be. I feel like I don't think it could have went a different way. Just living life, having children of my own, which that affected me as well because I didn't have my first child until like 4 years ago. And it's because I never wanted children because I didn't want them to fill the void that I feel.
Right.
And it's just, even in relationships, I've lost a lot of relationships because if you love me too hard, I shy away from it. I don't want you to love me to death.
You want to be loved to live for life, right? So, with that, seeing you, being here with you, I'm going to speak honestly. Baby girl, you may deal with this. All right? You have not dealt with this. You put it, listen to me, you put it behind you and you just ran. And you ran, right? And you just put everything else in the forefront so you didn't have to deal. It's not done. It's not. And until you really sit down and deal with this and heal,
Yeah, you can't heal.
it's going to keep it. It's going to keep going. And it's going to keep going. And everything is going to open up once you sit down and you really start healing. The person who's meant to come in your life to stay is going to be there, right? But it's not going to start until you really sit down. Because even though you think you've dealt with it, you haven't. You haven't even touched the surface of it. You survived.
That's it.
That's all you did was survive. Now, you're 40, 39. Now it's time for you to live.
Yeah.
And live for you
and your kids.
and your babies. Because all they see is a shell. Tia, you're just showing them a shell. All right? For whatever the reason, God brought you here with us. You met that crazy woman for some reason. Because she crazy. We love her to death, but she crazy. Right? Which opened you up to us. We need you to love you.
Yeah.
You haven't. We need you to appreciate you and forgive yourself.
That's big.
And once you forgive yourself, you forgive your mama. Because I bet you haven't. You say on the surface you probably did, right?
And you even have to forgive the person that killed her.
And
But
yes.
I do forgive him in a weird way. When he testified, he didn't even know what he had done. He was
On drugs.
And he loved my mom. I never seen him fight or anything until this day. And they said he fainted when they showed him the pictures of what he had done. So I felt like he was remorseful. And I felt like God gave him another chance because he didn't do it but 6 years.
Same.
Pleaded insanity. And I felt like if God can give him another chance, so can I. And he has his own demons that he has to deal with.
Absolutely.
And I pray for him. I do. I pray for him because I don't really think no one wants to kill anyone.
No.
I believe something happens. Something triggers it.
It's
a mental thing. And so I thought I was dealing with it.
No.
And but I don't know.
I'm sorry. I had to tell you that.
Yeah.
I
People
really
have to
did.
understand that stuff happens spiritually, and people always never bring it to the forefront because they think that, just because you don't see beyond the surface, it doesn't happen. And when he blanked out, it's like something just took over his body.
You could tell, like you could see it in his eyes.
Him.
Because when I screamed, I can see it in his eyes. Like his eyes were like.
You really need to understand that domestic violence have so many levels. And spiritually, it's number one factor. Mental health is the number one factor. And you have to educate yourself. because honestly, you haven't healed yet. Because if you did, you will allow people to love you.
Mm-hmm.
You will allow yourself to live your deserved life. And you haven't did that yet. And your kids needs to know that it's okay to be loved. And it's okay to be hurt because we're human. But we have to learn to heal. And we have to learn that it's not our fault what people put themselves through. What people really need to understand, and I hope thousands of people will listen to this interview, that domestic violence is not just about hitting.
No.
Right.
It's emotional.
And it doesn't start there.
It's financially. It's mentally. It's you didn't even you witness your mom get killed. You are emotionally attached to domestic violence, and that is a big one that people fail to realize. I don't know, when you became my customer, and I told Diane this, I said, something just told me to inbox you, and I asked you, remember I asked you, I said, why are you always buying for your friends and your family? Like, girl, you ain't buying for yourself. And you was like, just read me then. And I'm like, I feel like the people that you have around you, you're protecting them. You want them and constantly want them to know that you love them. Mm-hmm. But who is loving you?
Right.
Who is loving you? And when I asked you that, I'm an empath, and I'm just going into this, as Diane knows, I just accepted this, and your spirit God was just like, inbox her, talk to her. Don't let her just be a customer, talk to her. And this is one thing about having a small business, is that you can have one-on-ones with your customer. Right. I don't think I ever want to even own a store, because I love I think God is putting me in a position to use my business as opening doors for people that's been through domestic violence, because I was a victim of domestic violence. Right. And when he told me to inbox you, I knew I can see it through your pictures. I can see when you order from me, that you care about everybody else. But you not putting yourself there in the front, because you can't take care of other people if you're not okay. You have to be okay to take care of other people. Mm-hmm. You come first, no matter what. What you've been through when you were 8 years old, it's not your mom's fault. It's not your fault. It was something that happened that spiritually took over him. And you have to start living for you. People know that you love them. Girl, I can tell. Cause I'm telling you, every time you order from me, like I talk about, she always order from herself. It never, she bought 4 lipsticks, y'all, for her friends. Like, you ain't gonna buy you one? But lipstick, but I just want you to know that I told Diane, I told everybody about you. I was like, I really want to connect with you, because you were just drawing to me. Like, and I told Diane when I first did an interview, because she was my customer, now she's my sister. She's talking about I'm crazy, but anyway, she made me bring out truthful things about myself in my interview that I didn't want to accept as an empath, because being an empath, you have to separate your feelings away from other people's feelings. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when I started getting close to you, I felt your anxiety. And I thought it was me. I would tell my husband, like, why am I, like, I'm heavy when I would talk to you. And my mom would say, it's not you.
Right.
It's her.
It's her. Mm-hmm.
And I told my mom, I said, but Mom, she never buys for herself. She said, because only she's scared that somebody else gonna leave her. So she has to show her love.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told Diana, I said, we have to get her an interview. You have to put yourself first.
So, how can we start you on that journey?
I really don't know. Because I thought I was fine.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I know I'm not
No, you're fine.
talking about how
You're
on the same
on.
thing, but in so many aspects, listening to that part of your story, I was you. And you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm-mm.
I grew up taking care of everybody else. Everybody else. And when I went through this, guess where they were? Nowhere to be found. You gotta make sure you take care of you. And with this journey, because it's so close to you, it's gonna be scary.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't deal with it, you won't be able to move past it.
Right.
It's like Diane said, it was bad enough to the point where you blocked it, and then you just went full speed ahead, but you never actually took the time to deal with it and heal. And if you don't heal, you won't be able to be at your best for you, for your babies, or for anybody else.
No.
So you gotta take time to step back and breathe for one, and then figure out what it is that you need so that you can start that journey. And part of that is being around people like us. And one thing I can tell you about us is if you come in contact with us and we support you, we're not going to drop you.
No.
If you pick up the phone and call Hona, she's going to be there. If you pick up and call me, I'm going to be there. If you pick up and call Diane, she's going to be there. So going forward, know that when you start this journey and you start moving forward, you don't have to do it.
You are not alone.
Have you told your boyfriend, the one your boyfriend now, did he know? I think it's, I said this in all my interviews, I think it's so important that when you're in a relationship with somebody that they know.
Oh yeah, he knows.
And how does he feel?
Sad.
How long have y'all been together?
6 years.
Okay.
He's a keeper.
Yeah.
I can feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he loves you.
Sad. He hates that I had to go through it. You can tell he treats me different because of it. With a little bit more care.
That's important.
That's important.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, one thing about me that everybody here knows, I'm a nurse practitioner. I deal with health, mental, physical, all of it. Before you make any big commitments, you've been together 6 years, right? You guys both separately and together need to see someone, all right? Because this is going to be a journey for you. There are going to be so many layers to this. There are going to be so many roller coaster rides. And you both need that support, right? You both need the tools that you're going to need to handle. He's going to need a tool to handle your outburst. You're going to need a tool how to deal with it when you have an outburst. Because it will happen if it hasn't happened already.
What would you consider an outburst?
Can you see her? Can you see her having an outburst? Look at her life. She probably shunned it back.
I don't really have outbursts. And a lot of my cries and stuff is alone.
So
I don't let nobody see that.
hers is not
isolate yourself.
She's in. All of it is internal.
Yeah.
You're gonna break. And I think you met us all before you got to that point. Because just sitting here talking to you, I can feel all that hurt that you got bottled up in there. That's why I can say what I said to you. So, with that, okay, we're, as Sabrina said, going to be here on your 6th. Excuse me. Right, we got your back.
Appreciate it.
All right. And we don't say things lightheartedly.
Right.
We are women of truth.
Yeah, girl,
And
I
we
don't have too many people in my circle, girl.
Yes, that is so true.
We just
Right.
had that talk.
Yes. Okay. And we stand by our word.
Absolutely.
I met this one on the side of the road.
Why did she?
Because I met her on the side of the road. She had a flat tire, all that kind of stuff. You know.
That was just a couple of weeks ago. Why she?
But it's an example.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
she came. She had just pulled up. I said, Diana, I'm on my way. She's like, I'm on my way. And she stayed until somebody came to pick me up. And then this one kept
I'm glad
calling
you
me.
did, because I was like, she said, I'm going to call you back in just a minute. She didn't call back. You good? Did y'all get a tire? Did you? No, that's when you finally text me back later and was like, damn, I ain't
So
on
this
her
is our
way.
life.
Okay.
This is our life.
All right.
So, I'm the late one.
We love each other.
We love each other.
do.
I'm a late person too.
I got 2 late people. Lord help me.
Oh, you and me both. Jesus
Hold
be
on,
a
I was
fence.
almost on time today. If Kevin
Almost don't count.
accent.
Thank you. Almost don't count.
What that song say? 99 and a half just won't do.
Just won't do. Okay.
Don't do me.
But we want you to start that self-care journey.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we want you to have smiles and feelings of peace that is genuine,
Yes.
not something that you just put on for other people to see.
There's a difference. You will feel so much better. It'll be like a weight lifted off of you.
It would. And people are going to see another part of you that they've never seen. They're going to say, oh my God, you're smiling with your eyes. You're glowing. Okay? But it starts with you getting that help, clearing all that baggage to make room for you to heal. All right? Self-care is not selfish. And you can't
Absolutely not.
Okay. I say that all the time.
And people will tell you that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna.
I've heard it many a times on my journey.
Way, when you start showing up for you, they're not going to understand that you're showing up for you.
It's not the norm.
It's not about them. And
it's about
not the
you.
Norm.
Right.
It's about you. I
It's
have
about
lost many
you.
friends.
Ooh, me too.
Many friends, and I don't care.
And you can say no.
Ooh,
I'm
it
the
is
queen
absolutely
of
okay.
not saying no. I've said yes to everything, been so tired, been in places, sitting there looking in people's faces, tired as God knows what. But I said yes, and I'm going to be here.
Yep,
Lord, I'm going to be here because I gave my word. And I'm a woman of my word, and I gave my word. I'm going to be here.
Yes.
It's okay to say no.
It is.
And it's okay for people to be mad at you.
That part.
They'll get over it.
And if they don't, that's okay too.
That's all right. But you have to be okay with that.
Yes.
Okay? You have to be okay with that. So we're going to help you. Okay? We said we're going to be here. We said you're part of your journey. You have all our information, so you know where to find us, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what we didn't get to broadcast was that Ona was able to gain support from those of us who are supporters of Glam Gloss Kiss, those of us who are customers of Glam Gloss Kiss, and we helped Ona sponsor Tia with this beautiful basket. Tia was able to also have a spa day. And in this basket were gifts from other people who sponsored bracelets, necklaces, and all these things to help with her self-care journey. And the other thing was that we know Tia's spirit and how giving she is. So we also, all of us sponsors, pitched in and helped sponsor Ona so Ona can join her for her spa day to make sure that she uses it for herself, right? We talk about self-care, and those of us who are always giving, we're the last to care for ourselves. So knowing the spirit of Tia, we said, nope, we're going to jumpstart this. We're going to give her this basket. We're going to support her. And Ona was like, nope, we're going to just make sure she uses it for herself. So, we all chimed in, and this is what happened. So when we say that you are part of our sisterhood and our tribe, we mean it and we own it. And we are more than delighted to help jumpstart your self-care journey and your healing journey. So with that, I want to close out and say thank you to Ona for being my co-host for this interview and many others. And also, thank you to Sabrina. Thank you for staying, and being that support, because that sisterhood, that's like one giant hug that just doesn't go away. So I want to thank you for staying also and chiming in. It turned into a love session, a healing session that I hope helps Tia further her journey on herself. Yes, she has her family, but as I always say, we can't give from an empty well. So we have to start with filling our well for ourselves so that we can continue to shed light and healing on others. Also, um, on that, I want to just say this has been quite the journey. And yes, we've opened up some wounds and probably had some triggers set. And with that, I want to always say, we always have to seek counseling, because sometimes when we think we've dealt with things, we really haven't. And it doesn't hurt to talk to someone. And I know in most cultures and in the Black community, sharing what happens in your household is a no-no. We need to change that language. It should be a yes and a yes, I need help. All right. This is how domestic violence goes silent, and no one knows what's going on until that person who is suffering and living with it either ends up in the hospital or in a grave. And this is what we need to stop. So, on that, I want to say thank you for those who are listening and being a part of the Soul Tribe. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and rate the shows. If you haven't listened to past shows, please do so. This is our first season, and we're getting close to closing out the first season, so you can readily play catch up while we're setting up for season 2. But definitely subscribe, join. You can email me, dc@thesoulfuleclectic.com. You can also come to my Facebook page and my Instagram page. The Facebook page is the Soulful Eclectic with DC. And then my Instagram page is The Soulful Eclectic. So please send me your feedback, rate the show, subscribe, share. We have some valuable information that someone needs to hear. And if we can just reach 1, 2 people, then we've done our job. Thank you so much. Namaste.